The Battle of Hill 731 was a fierce battle fought during World War II in southern Albania, part of the Greco-Italian War. It began in the early morning of the 9th of March 1941, when Fascist Italy launched an assault against Greece, aimed at capturing the critical mountain pass leading into the Kalpaki Valley. Hill 731, strategically located 20 kilometers north of Klisura at the feet of Mount Trebeshinë, stood at the heart of the Greek defensive line. Despite being repeatedly and heavily attacked by superior Italian forces for over 2 weeks, Hill 731 was not captured, contributing to the failure of the Primavera offensive and the repulsion of Italians. Background: by the end of 1940, the Greek command decided to halt large-scale offensive operations in the Albanian front, authorizing only local offensive operations for improving Greek lines until the weather improved. In effect, during the first months of 1941, the fighting had turned to a stalemate. In the spring of 1941, the Italian leadership desired to achieve a success against the Greek army before the impending German intervention. The plan, devised by General Ugo Cavallero, envisioned a large-scale attack on a narrow, 32 kilometers front in the center of the Greek positions. The aim of the Italian attack was to break through the Greek lines, recapture Klisura, and advance towards Leskovac and Ioannina. Key to the Italian effort was a hill known as 731, which stood at the center of the planned attack. The attack would be carried out by the 8th Army Corps and 2 elite black-shirt battalions of the 26th Legion, 25 Corps Fortescue Division, the 47th Bari, 51st Siena, and 7th Lupi Toscana divisions as a second echelon, and the Centauro and Piemonte divisions as general reserves. The Greek units opposite them were 2nd Corps, which had been fighting from the beginning of the war, with 3 regiments as reserve, and able to be reinforced by the 4th Division. During the preceding months and in anticipation of an attack, the Greek troops had been ordered to dig entrenchments to provide cover. The Italian division to assault Hill 731 was Pouilly. Hill 731 was defended by the 2nd Battalion of the Greek 5th Infantry Regiment of the 1st Division, who were ordered to hold their positions at all costs. The I-5 Battalion was commanded by Major Dimitrios Kaslas, and the majority of its soldiers hailed from the towns of Trikala and Karditsa. The commander of the Greek 2nd Corps, Gen. Georgios Bakos, had been appointed a mere 4 days prior to the Italian offensive. In a conference held at Athens on the 5th of March, the then commander Lt. Gen. Dimitrios Papadopoulos, along with 2 other generals of the 1st Corps, objected the presence in Greece of a British expeditionary force, which would have been inadequate to defend Greece against the Germans but sufficient to provide them with a casus belli. Their opposition led to the dismissal on the next day and the retirement on the day after that. The Italian attack, observed by Italian dictator Benito Mussolini in person, was launched on the 9th of March with a heavy artillery barrage and air bombardment on the main sector held by the Greek 1st Division. Over 100,000 shells were dropped on a 6 kilometers front. Despite repeated assaults and heavy shelling that dug up the soil, the defenders of Hill 731 held during 9 to 15 March. With the support of the Greek artillery, they managed to take advantage of the terrain and launch counterattacks. On several occasions, the Greek riflemen charged at the oncoming Italians with fixed bayonets under the cover of dense smoke. A flanking maneuver by the black shirts of the 26th Legion on the 11th of March ended in Italian defeat. In the afternoon of the 12th of March, the Greeks reinforced the defending units with the entire 19th Regiment of the 4th Division. Hill 731 was now defended by the 319 Battalion, under the command of Captain Panagiotis Koutridis. On the night of the 12th of March, the Italians withdrew the exhausted Pouillet Division and replaced it with the Bari Division. The Italian offensive halted between 16 to 18 March, allowing the Greeks to bring reserves forward and begin a gradual reshuffle of their line, relieving the 1st Division with the 17th. The Italian offensive resumed on the 19th of March with another attack of the Siena Division on Height 731, supported by 4 M13, 40 tanks and an RDT assault unit from the Siena Division. The Italians seized a portion of Hill 731 but were soon pushed back by a Greek counterattack. Attacks, preceded by intense artillery bombardments, followed daily until the 24th of March, without achieving any result. Mussolini was forced to admit that the result of the Italian offensive was zero, and the Italian offensive was terminated on the 24th of March. Aftermath. The Battle of Hill 731 has been described as the Verdun of the Greco-Italian War, whereas others referred to it as the New Thermopylae. It was a bloody struggle, with soldiers often engaging in close-quarters combat and fighting with whatever they had at hand. The ferocious ground and air bombardment transformed the hill's landscape, eliminating all trees and reducing its height by 6 meters. The Greek army defeated the Italian counter-attack of March 1941, inflicting heavy casualties. Shortly after, the German invasion of Greece through Bulgaria began on the 6th of April, creating a second front. Greece had received a small reinforcement from British forces based in Egypt, in anticipation of the German invasion. Greek forces were outnumbered and most troops were still at the Albanian front. The Bulgarian defensive line did not receive adequate reinforcements and was soon overrun. The Germans outflanked the Greek forces on the Albanian border, forcing the surrender, and British Empire forces began a retreat. For several days Allied troops contained the German advance on the Thermopylae Pass, allowing ships to be prepared to evacuate the British force. The Germans reached Athens on the 27th of April and completed the conquest of Greece with the capture of Crete a month later. As a result, Greece was occupied by the military forces of Germany, Italy and Bulgaria until late 1944.